Hey there. If you're like me, the last 6 months have been mind-blowing. The world has been turned upside down for a lot of us. In my case, I was living a regular life, going to work every day, riding my bike, drinking machine-made coffee, enjoying the variety of being in the city or downtown, and getting out to new places to eat, and of course, getting to work face-to-face with my awesome team. Then something happened. A little old pandemic arrived in Australia, and it's completely floored this country and the rest of the world at the same time. So I've gone from drinking machine-made coffee to no coffee at all, and 2-minute noodles every day for lunch instead. But I'm not complaining. And I'm not eating 2-minute noodles every day. Maybe twice a week instead. But oh, they're so yum. I love them. Still, I get to do great work, and even better, I have some new work colleagues who are working with me very closely now. And it's important to remember there are a lot of people who've lost their livelihoods. People have been really sick, not to mention the tragedy of people who have lost their lives to this terrible, insidious virus. So my thoughts and prayers are with the many people that have been deeply affected by COVID-19 and the economic downturn that's playing out around us now. Today, I'm going to talk about why I think remote working is a game changer for product managers. So stick around to find out more. Hey there, Rian Chapman here from Awesome Product Manager. When I used to think of remote working, I used to think of people getting up each day, maybe freelancers or market researchers, spending their day in their pajamas, cruising along, stepping into a few meetings, and just having this idealistic existence of doing their own thing. And kudos to them. If they have the temperament, the occupation, and the opportunity to do it, I say power to them. I remember once meeting a consultant at work. He was an architect, I think, working for a large American consulting firm, and he'd just flown in. But for him, this was all a real hassle. I thought it was because his flight had been delayed and maybe he had a tough time getting through the immigration and customs folks at the airport, but it wasn't the case. He was actually a remote worker, and his company had asked him to fly in for a couple of days to kick off the work before he reverted back to his home office and remote working situation. I assumed his office was somewhere in the States, maybe Seattle or in Silicon Valley. And when I asked him, he smiled. Nope, I don't live in the USA, he said. I live on a boat and just travel around wherever I feel like going. I had to take in what he'd just told me. Who owns a boat? Who lives on a boat and anchors it wherever they want and lives on it? Man, that's incredible. Who is this guy? Is he some kind of billionaire software developer just doing this stuff as a side gig? Maybe he's like day trading or something. Or maybe he like inherited money, or maybe he's related to Bill Gates. I should get him on Awesome Product Manager. I think he would be awesome to interview. Of course, I started thinking about how much this guy must be earning to afford a yacht. But as I've learned, there are a variety of yachts you can buy, from one-man dinghies to super maxi yachts right through to ocean liners. So it might have been a big stretch to assume this guy was some sort of multi-millionaire living the life, but I was still very intrigued, particularly around how he made remote working successful, and even more how his employer actually encouraged it. At the time, where I worked encouraged working from home, but it was more exceptions based. So if you had to be at home to let a tradesman in, then it was fine to work from home for that day, but anything beyond 1 to 2 days, working from home was not really towing the line. There was never any explicit rule to say no. It was just the norm. The culture of work meant people didn't really do it, or maybe someone wasn't brave enough to test the waters and see the response. I work in a bank, and they're super complex environments with so much complexity when it comes to technology. You're working in an environment where heaps of transactions are occurring every second of the day across multiple business units involving products with varying degrees of complexity. But despite being effectively technology companies with banking licenses, the culture in banks is still very bankerish. We're not like some cliched startup tech company, which means if you aren't visible, if you aren't seen in the office, people wonder where you are and maybe if you're putting in the hours or not. But all of that has changed in the last 6 months because of one word: pandemic. This pandemic has turned the way we work upside down and created a pivot from offices to remote working. Culture, conventions, policies have all been thrown out the window and rewritten. There's been no alternative. In my world, face-to-face has gone virtual, which is kind of ironic given I work in digital. It should have really happened a long time ago. To be in the middle of this massive shift in the way we are working and will probably continue to work in the future has been incredible. I really believe this is a game changer for those that are working in product management, so I want to talk more about that today. And one myth I want to dispel straight away is remote working isn't productive. This is rubbish, and it's based on old frames of reference that people need to be in an office to be productive. It's actually the opposite. Remote working is really productive. I only have to look at how much work my team is shipping at the moment to prove this. Remote working is productive, and it's holistically productive at the same time. This means that not only does work get more out of me, I'm actually getting more out of my life as well. When you work in an office, I'm going to assume you need to be at the office by, say, 9 a.m. And I'm also going to assume you have anywhere from 20 minutes to 60 minutes commute to get to the office and home again. So this probably means you need to be up at around about 6 to 6:30 a.m., right? And I'm also going to guess you spend time exercising in the morning, or maybe walking your dog, or getting your kids up and ready for the day. Then you probably shower, you get dressed, eat some breakfast, and you're out the door by 8 a.m. to maybe 8:30 a.m. to join the masses of people who are also making their way into the office for that work day. You can see already that your day has started off in a rush. You get that foot on the accelerator, your thoughts are racing 100 miles an hour, you've got a million things to do. Oh man, I'm really late. Where are my keys? I need to find my keys. Where have I put them? Where have I put my keys? Oh, I've got my wallet as well. I thought I had my wallet here before as well. I can't seem to find it. What time is it? Oh, I'm so late. I'm really late already. Where are my keys? Oh, got the keys. Now I've got to find my laptop. Whereabouts is my laptop? Have you seen my laptop? I can't seem to find it. You arrive at work by 9 a.m., probably a bit frazzled from the peak hour traffic or the public transport you had to take to get in. You maybe fire up your laptop. Hopefully you don't have any software issues or build issues with your laptop when you fire it up. And then you get straight into checking emails, looking at your calendar, checking voicemails, going through Slack to see how your delivery team are going. You get plenty of FaceTime with your team and you work through some issues. And if you manage to get time, you go find a peaceful place to eat your lunch or catch up with some workmates. Then you get back into the meetings in the afternoon. You have people swinging by your desk for those so-called 30-second conversations that end up taking 10 minutes. And before you know it, it's fast approaching 5 p.m. and you need to head home quickly to pick up your kids from childcare. You battle traffic or crowds on public transport for the ride home. And then when you get home, you make dinner and eventually get to put your feet up at around about 9 p.m. for 30 minutes before you start thinking about going to bed in an hour or two. Compared to remote working, I see a lot of time spent unproductively. And I think we've all known this for a long time, but haven't been empowered enough to really do anything substantial about it. You're spending up to 2 hours commuting back and forth from work, and that doesn't include the environmental impact of mass movements of people each and every day. You're wasting precious energy in fighting to get to work in peak hour madness, and it takes time to switch off from this and get into the zone when you're at work. You're also burning time on those 30-second conversations that extrapolate out to 10-minute conversations that seem to replay multiple times throughout the day, not to mention the constant distractions of being in a noisy office environment. Then there are those meetings, heaps and heaps of meetings. There's leadership planning sessions, there's check-ins with your boss. There's divisional or business team get-togethers to talk about strategy and progress. Then there's your product delivery ceremonies too. So retros, stand-ups, story refinements, and sprint planning. And I haven't started on the stakeholder meetings you also need to get to as well, let alone allocating time to do the actual real work of a product manager. So spending time with your delivery team, getting involved in design, user research, testing product builds, coordinating the shipping of increments to customers, getting into data and identifying opportunities and issues. I'm exhausted already just thinking about these kind of days. I'm not sure about you, but for me, the frustrating part with meetings is they are binary. If you're there, you're expected to sit there and be attentive the entire time, even if you realize that A, the meeting is not relevant for you, and B, you have nothing to add or to take away from the meeting. How does that help anyone? And how does that add value to customers? Experts indicate that we are spending around about 30% of our work weeks being involved in or leading time-wasting, low-value and no-valuating activities. It's crazy. And the thing is, this is our lives that we're talking about here. This is not some kind of imaginary soap drama we're watching on Netflix. We have a finite number of hours in our lives that we are given when we are born. And every day that passes by means another withdrawal against life's bank account. So this time is precious. And if you're wasting it on being busy, without much to show for it, it's a tragedy. Now let's contrast the busyness of working in an office and, in my view, the unproductiveness of office life to the other end of the spectrum, which is remote working. So maybe you still get up between 6 or 6:30 a.m. Great, because then you get to use this time to do something we all need to be doing regularly as product managers, which is learning. By the way, if you want to know why learning is so essential as a product manager, make sure to check out my video on Product Managers Know Jack All, which I've included a link below in the description and also will share at the end of today's video. So instead of putting your foot on the accelerator first thing in the morning, you can approach the day more strategically, or as I say in Latin, carpe diem, which means seize the day. So learning is a great way to seize the day. This means getting yourself into the right frame of mind from the word go. Even if you don't use the time first thing in the morning to do learning, you can use it for other things like meditation if you're into that, or perhaps some yoga, or even creating a plan for the day ahead, both to cover off your work and your personal life. My point is, from the moment you wake up, you aren't in a reactive mode. Instead, you're in the zone or the proactive mode. And because of this extra time in your hands in the morning before you log into your laptop, say for 9 a.m., you get more time to do things that are important for you, like eating breakfast mindfully and hearing those cornflakes as they crunch in your mouth. This breakfast cereal, it's so good. Loving that crunch. And this juice, this orange juice, it's so fresh. Or maybe it's watching the birds in the garden or listening to your kids giggling or your dogs playing. You begin to notice things that never were happening before. But the truth is, they were happening before. You were just too busy to notice it. Like John Lennon once saying, life is what happens when you're too busy making other plans. So when it comes time to turning on your laptop, you feel different. You feel grounded, you feel calm, you haven't arrived at work in a hurry. Your thoughts aren't in a spin around that person that cut you off in traffic or that smell of body odor you had to endure while your face was wedged up underneath some guy's armpit on the train. Not good. Your mind is in a better place. Then something interesting happens. You find that you aren't being drawn into just about every conversation that was happening previously with your product delivery team, your peers, or your boss. With remote working, it seems like people are starting to figure stuff out for themselves. The little things, those things where people weren't so sure about what they needed to do previously, so they relied on you and your steady hand to guide them. But now you aren't sitting right next to them, and the thought of calling you or sending you an email or messaging you on Slack seems like more effort than just trying to solve the problem themselves. So they try and solve it themselves. And like a miracle, they actually succeed. The people around you are changing. They're evolving. They're growing. They're doing something that office culture has failed to do. They're learning for themselves and not asking for empowerment, but instead they're grabbing it. So you still get emails, but they're less about helping people to do their job and more about doing the good things that product managers should do, like confirming priorities, escalating bugs, discussing roadmaps, confirming dates, and exploring market trends. As you sit in front of your laptop and watch the hours go by, you start to get nervous. Things are quiet for the first time ever. The silence is actually deafening. You aren't used to this and what it means to actually do your job and be good at it. Those 30-second quick check-ins that turned into 10-minute conversations have dropped off. No one's calling you to have these conversations anymore. Again, probably because they're starting to do things for themselves. But the weird part about it is you're actually starting to miss these conversations that you used to have. So you start calling people and messaging them instead. And instead you talk about other things. So those transactionally driven conversations with their question and answer binary formats are now becoming more deeper, personable conversations. The topics have shifted from immediate need to know and answer type scenarios to finding out more about your people that you work with. So their families, their pets, what they're studying, what their career aspirations are, even what they had for dinner last night. You're discovering hidden knowledge and skill sets and people around you that leaves you speechless. You're realizing the talent of people you're working with. And as you tap into this deep hidden knowledge, you realize that you're growing and you're learning at the same time. As a product manager, you're getting to apply the core skill of empathy and apply human-centeredness rather than feeling like you're exchanging information to enable immediate action for product delivery. For the first time in ages, you're relishing the opportunity to have meaningful dialogue with your colleagues. Best of all, you are actually looking forward to lunch. You get out and do exercise. You reconnect with your kids. You take the dog out for a walk. You sit outside and bask in some sunshine as you enjoy your homemade sandwich. A sandwich that cost you just about nothing compared to the $15 you'd probably normally spend buying an overpriced, underperforming artisan salad. And those afternoons of having back-to-back meetings that you are having one after another, sure, there's probably still a lot of meetings, a lot more than really is required, but they're becoming shorter. People are coming to them more informed, so sessions run faster, they're more to the point and effective. And while you still have a lot of meetings, you're finding yourself being able to passively listen to parts of the session which don't involve you as much, and then double down on things where you're in the spotlight. So you're able to get on top of emails, respond to Slack messages, check out the latest designs from your UX designer, and get involved in the conversation in a meeting where something piques your interest or you have value to add. All of a sudden, what was an hour of sunk time that you knew was always going to be wasted in an office environment becomes a productive hour. Productivity that can translate to faster customer value. Then as your day wraps up, there's no rush to beat peak hour traffic and no frantic running down the street as you try to make it to childcare before it shuts for the day. Even your dogs are excited about heading out with you for a late afternoon walk or a play in the park before the sun goes down. And as you take the time to cook up your homemade dinner and enjoy a glass of wine, you reflect on the opportunities you're having to spend time with your family at dinner, an opportunity to appreciate the moment of being present with your family and experiencing the richness of life. Then you realize something. Why weren't we doing this all along? You're feeling productive, you're getting more done, you're engaging better with your colleagues, you're getting to do the things you love doing as a product manager. And you're enjoying life outside of work so much more now because you have the time now to enjoy it all. Maybe at this point you pinch yourself to see if you are dreaming, and the good news is you aren't. Oh, that hurt. Definitely not dreaming. So are you remote working because of COVID-19, and do you think this is going to continue beyond COVID-19? And how are you finding it? Are you working harder, getting more balance, or are you struggling? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and see what you've got to say. If you aren't a subscriber to Awesome Product Manager, then you're missing out on some great content and some great tips. So click over there or down below. And if you like this video or agree that remote working is a game changer for product managers, then click on that like button just around about there. As always, you're awesome. Keep being an awesome product manager. And as they say in Amharic, which is the language of Jesus Christ and still spoken in Ethiopia today, koyi. Catch you later. Oh, and before I forget, if you're interested in knowing why learning is so essential as product managers, or you're after tips for being successful at remote working as a product manager, then make sure to check out these other videos right here and right over here. Catch you later.